The Covenant by James A. Michener. This book was read by Larry A. McKeever. Note: Mr. Errol L. Uys, a distinguished South African editor and journalist now living in the United States, was exceedingly helpful in the preparation of this manuscript. With a rare understanding of his birthplace and its people, he was able to clarify historical and social factors which an outsider might misinterpret, to correct verbal usage, and to verify data difficult to check. Working together for 2 years, we read the finished manuscript together 7 times, twice aloud, a most demanding task. I thank him for his assistance. James A. Michener, St. Michael's, Maryland, Christmas, 1979. Acknowledgements. On my latest visit to South Africa, I was treated with invariable courtesy, and when it became known that I intended writing about the country, my phone rang daily with offers of assistance, erudite information, and untrammeled discussion. When I returned to my hotel at night, people waited to discuss points with me, and others offered me trips to places I would not otherwise have seen. This was true of all sectors of the society: black, colored, Indian, Afrikaner, and English. The number of those to whom I am indebted reaches the hundreds. The following were especially helpful. General: Philip C. Bateman, a freelance writer with commendable books to his credit, spent 7 weeks guiding me through his country on my hard research trip. We traveled about 5,000 miles, during which he introduced me to most of the experts cited below. I could not have done my work without his informed and congenial guidance. Diamonds: John Wooldridge, Barry Hawthorne, Alex Hall, George Liu, Dr. Lewis Murray of De Beers. Peter van Blomstein took me deep into the mines. I was unusually privileged to spend a morning with Lou Boats, a lonely old-time digger still operating in the Kimberley area, and to share an afternoon with J.S. Mills at his modern operation. Historian Derek Schaefer was of great assistance, and Jack Young spent a day explaining how diamonds are moved through the market. Dr. John Gurney, head of Kimberlite Research Unit, University of Cape Town, checked details most helpfully. Dr. John A. Vancouvering, American Museum of Natural History, brought recent theories to my attention. Early Man. Professor Philip Tobias allowed me to spend a day with him at one of his archaeological sites, and Alan Hughes showed me fossils of the great finds. Dr. C.K. Brain, director of the Transvaal Museum, was most helpful. Professor Nicolaas van der Merwe, head of archaeology at the University of Cape Town, organized an extensive field trip in conjunction with his associate Jeanette Deacon and others. At the Africana Museum, Johannesburg, Mrs. L.J. DeVette and Hilary Bruce assisted me regarding San, Bushman materials. Johannes Oberholzer, director of the National Museum, Bloemfontein, spent long hours sharing his conclusions. Zimbabwe. Curator Peter Wright spent 2 days instructing me in the intricacies of the monument. Professor Tom Huffman, head of archaeology of Witwatersrand University, was invaluable in explaining concepts. Cape Settlement. Dr. Anna Bersiken, the nation's foremost woman scholar, was most helpful both in verbal instruction and in her remarkable printed materials. Numerous Dutch and Indonesian officials instructed me as to operations in Java. Officials of the government of Malaya helped me regarding Malacca. Peter Klein, Rotterdam, offered me expert help on the VOC. James Closser and Arthur Doble took me on an extensive field trip of Table Mountain. Dr. I. Norwich showed me his collection of early maps. Christine Van Ziel took me on a tour of Groot Constantia and the Koopmans de Wet Museum. Victor de Kock, former chief archivist, helped. Professor Eric Axelson, distinguished expert on early history, provided numerous insights. Huguenots. Mrs. Elizabeth Leroux of Franschhoek and Dr. Jan P. Van Doorn of Den Haag helped with summarizing data. Jan Volta spent 3 days showing me the Huguenot memorials in Amsterdam. The proprietors of 2 historical vineyards, Mr. and Mrs. Nico Meiburg of Meerlust and Mr. and Mrs. Niklas Kroon of Tweejonge Gezellen, Tulbach, were unusually hospitable and informative. Professor M. Boucher, Department of History, University of South Africa, provided comment which helped. Trekboers. Gwen Fagan organized a memorable trek to Church Street, Tulbagh, Land van Waveren. Colin Cochrane spent a day recreating the old glories of Sellendam. Dr. Jan Knappert, London School of Oriental Studies, gave me valuable perspectives. Dr. D. J. Van Ziel, Head of History, University of Stellenbosch, offered valued criticism. Mfakani. Dr. Peter Becker was generous with his time and insights. In 1971, I met with various Zulu leaders during an extensive tour of Zululand. Great Trek. Professor C. F. J. Muller, leading expert, shared his ideas generously. Dr. Willem Punt, Sheila Henderson, Professor Jack Gledhill, Grahamstown, who is writing a biography of Piet Retief, discussed details. Salisbury and Old Sarum. Mrs. J. Llewellyn Lloyd, Surrey. Oriel College. Donald Gruben, a student of that college. Afrikaners. P. J. Wassenhaar, Professor Jeffrey Opland, Brand Fourie. Martin Spring was especially kind in discussing his book on South African-United States confrontation. Colin Legume, Harry Oppenheimer, the Honorable John Forster, who spent an hour with me in forthright discussion. Jan Marai, Member of Parliament, who entertained me socially and intellectually. Dr. Albert Herzog spent a long evening sharing his views. The English. Dr. Illy Gledhill, Grahamstown, took me on an extended field trip to sites of the Xhosa Wars. Professor Guy Butler, Rhodes University, was unusually keen. Dr. Mooneen Bees of the De Beers staff discussed her doctoral thesis with me, while curators of the Rhodes material provided insights, records, and photographs. Professor P. H. Kapp, Head of History, Rand Afrikaans University, checked the missionary section. Black Life. I made continuous effort to meet with and understand black spokesmen. Some, like Bloke Modasani, the writer, were in exile in London. Others, like the gifted social analyst Ben Magubane of the University of Connecticut, were pursuing their careers outside South Africa. I spent 3 days with Magubane, and he commented sharply on the Shaka chapter. Sheena Duncan was most helpful. Credo Mutwa showed me his witch doctor's establishment. Justice A. R. Jaap Jacobs of Northern Cape District advised me. I spent 5 different days in Soweto, 3 under government supervision, 2 at night on my own. During these visits I met with many black leaders, those supporting government policies and those who were determined to end them. Indian community. I was able to visit various sites at which Indian merchants were being removed from areas reserved for whites. In Durban, I met with leaders of the Indian community to discuss these measures. Also, A. R. Coor, Fordsburg. Colored communities. My contacts were frequent, especially in Cape Town, where Brian Rees and Paul Andrews showed me squatter areas, in which I visited shacks and held discussions. Boer War. Fiona Barber, ethnologist at the Alexander MacGregor Memorial Museum, Kimberley, analyzed the battlefields. Benjamin and Eileen Christopher conducted a 2-day inspection of Spion Kop, Blauwkrans, and the historical riches of Ladysmith. Major Philip Erskine, Stellenbosch, showed me his extraordinary collection of relics, including much material on General Buller. Concentration camps. Mrs. Johanna Christina.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?